streaming live. There we go. All right. Looks like we are here, looking good. Ought to be in Hollywood. All right, streaming live. There we go. I think. There we go. Let's just do this. All right. Okay. Good. All right. Are we here or what? I can't tell. Where are we? All right. There we go. That guy right there. All right. I think we're good to go. Daniel, Nancy, hello, hello. Looks like we are on live. All right, cool. Let me just, there we go. Cool. Mike M in the house. What's up? What's up? Whoa, ouch. Almost killed myself. All right, there he is. What's up, Pops? Oh, thanks, girl. Hey, Maddie. Yeah. See the shirt?
Nice, yeah.
Back Nordiques, want to say hi? There's Maddie, everybody.
Just give Pablo a bath.
Gave Pablo a bath. Ooh, it smells so good. Oh, now I just got on my new Quebec Nordique shirt.
There you go, buddy.
Oh, you want anything to say about the folks?
Not really. Hi. Bye, buddy. Bye, Dad. Nice shirt. Nice shirt.
Thanks, girl. Thanks for my birthday present. Oh, Pablo. Hey, Jill. Hey, everybody. Right on, right on. Guys, Pulverizer, know some people are, one guy was chastising you for your comments. It's kind of funny. Oh, man, I laugh. So, oh, look at Pablo. Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's ready to take. Ooh, he smells so good. Kind of funny, man. All right, so what we want to do today. Oh, yeah, there. Watch this. Every time he has a bath, he does that. Hi. Hi. He's such a freaking nut. Oh, I love that dog. What are you doing now? What you got? What is that, buddy? No. You want more screen time? He says, "Give me back on the screen." That what you're looking for? Oh man, Pablo, you crazy. All right, no, stop. I'm trying to do live stream here, buddy. Okay, Pablo. All right, here you go. Go out. Stop. Kill me. All right. So a couple things I want to do today. We got my mask. We're gonna make sure we wear our mask here. So I got my mask on. You like that? No mask, no service. It's on. Get it? My mask is on. My wife said that to me. Oh man. All right. Does Pablo want to chase critters when I walk him, Vic? Not that much, actually. He just wants to anything he can eat, he wants to eat. It's crazy. It's they say with Chihuahuas that they will eat literally until they die. I mean, they want to eat all the time. It's the weirdest thing ever with these guys. And Pablo, he's 13 pounds of fur, you know what I'm saying? And he'll sit there and just beg for food like he has never, he's starved by Stalin. It's crazy. Crazy. All right, so hey, I want to go over a couple things. We got lots to go into today. I want to get on my whiteboard there a little bit. And anyone, all right, so for you new folks here, who is, no, Nancy, freaking mandatory is in Mississippi now? You got to be freaking kidding me, man. But this is these freaking, who's the governor of Mississippi? There's the governor is Alabama. There's a K something like that. These guys, man, these guys are freaking insane. Just Kristi Noem and who am I going for in 2020, 24? Kristi Noem. And I'm drawing a blank who is a guy. I'm drawing a blank who it was. 2024. Kristi Noem and I can't remember anymore. But anyway, you gotta be kidding me, man. Jeez. Mississippi, mandatory to wear the stupid mask. Please tell me at least it's just inside. All right. Well, one county excluded. You know, I was actually reading, and I'm going to do some video. Maybe we'll even go on into it today. It's fun because I was reading some old quotes that people were writing back in the beginning of the pandemic. You know, when I wasn't taking it seriously, and I'm still not taking it seriously. I'm just not, because if you take this seriously, you have to take flu seriously. You certainly got to take H1N1, which my daughter had, which was pretty scary, by the way. And H1N1 killed a lot of people. In fact, Joe Biden's campaign, one of his spokesmen today said they just got lucky. Biden was the only guy who called it. Believe it or not, of all people in H1N1, Biden was the one guy, and they called him out for it. The left called Biden out for it. He said, I wouldn't take a train. I wouldn't get in a plane right now with H1N1. He was the only guy who called it. Biden, of all people, Biden, probably the dumbest guy in DC, and he called it. And yet they said his campaign guy said today they just got lucky, Obama-Biden administration, that not that many people died from it. It's crazy. The whole thing is freaking nuts, man. It's all, but you know, I've come to the conclusion now after, I mean, just, I've read so much. Okay, here you go. That people just will take the easy way out. It's all there is to it. The easy way is simply to follow the crowd. And I'm Craig, I'm trying to, man. I'm telling you, I won't until my kids are out of school. I'll tell you that right now. But I'm slowly but surely able to convince, well, it's not even me convincing my better half. It's the insanity of the world convincing her that, you know, we just don't belong, to be honest, with a lot of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's just no room for independent thought, it seems. But look, man, this is the way it's always been. I mean, forever and ever, forever will be. It's easier to go with a crowd than to stand alone. It is. And you can get frustrated and jump up, down, scream and holler, recognizing the climate change fraud, recognizing the anti-gun fraud. You know, we got to ban assault rifles. And you're like, dude, you know what? And then they'll say an AR, that stands for assault rifle. No, it does not. You see all this, and it doesn't matter. It literally matters not what the logic is. It's just whatever the cause of the day is. And so you can get frustrated to your blue in the face. Then finally you say, you know, people are going to be what they are. And there's nothing you can do. You can be rational and you can convince a few people, but you're not going to be able to, you just can't convince people what they don't want to be convinced of. And it's sad, actually. I just moved to Denver. Oh, Louise just moved to Denver, man. So you just, I don't know. Does that mean you just go on, get along? No, but I mean, you still got to stand up for freedom and individuality. But it's do you know individuality now is white supremacist? To talk about individualism is white supremacy. Did you know that? It boggles the mind. Boggles the flipping mind. It's anyway. So what are you gonna do? Where'd you move to, Zabutify? If I recall, I remember you. I remember your name. I just can't remember where you lived to. Where'd you move to? Anyway, there's I live in Tennessee now, right on. What part of Tennessee? You don't have to say the town if you don't want, but southern Tennessee, like Chattanooga, western, like Memphis. Yeah, Christian's a good guy. I like that guy. Younger, but I liked him. He's I got to wear a mask at work. It's just freaking nuts. I was talking to a guy outside of Walmart today. I went to there to see if they had any soil. And you know, it's freaking 100 degrees, humid as could be. I said, dude, you have to wear that mask. He goes, yep. I said, he goes, it's insane. At Northeast Tennessee, right on, man. He goes, it's insane. I said, I know. And it's not solving anything. It's crazy. Anyway, so I was going back through some old comments. It's just funny. And I don't know if I can find it right here, but if I can find it, it'd be interesting to share with you. I just want real quick. My man Dougie B Fresh said, So I did this back in February. I said why I'm not scared. And Dougie B Fresh says, hey, Josh, just read the comments. Did you pass your business card around the circus? I'm wondering what do the clowns have to gain from this? It's like, oh man, that's so funny. The clown show. All right, right here. Where was it here? I'm not gonna be able to find it. But anyway, the guy was saying about flattening the curve, and I guarantee this guy, if he were still posting, would be I can't remember. I can't find it. But anyway, I guarantee he'd be not talking about flattening the curve anymore. Yeah, I don't get. I'm not going to find it, but it's crazy. And whatever happened to flattening the curve? And this is what frustrates me. Look, I'm going to stop. I'm going to go on this here in just a second. I'm going to go to a couple things. But whatever happened to flattening the curve? Why did that just kind of go away? It's nuts. And now it's stopped the spread. Well, you can't freaking stop the spread. Why are we not focused on immunity? I'm telling you, and it's the weirdest thing. So, I have some trolls on here that will say, Josh, you're not a scientist, Josh, this. And I'm like, dude, one guy was saying you're anti-vax, not anti-vax. He's saying you're anti-climate change. I'm absolutely not anti-climate change. I know the climate change has been doing it since the dawn of mankind, not dawn of mankind, since the dawn of the world, since God created the universe. I know that. It's weird. So I'm not anti-vax, not anti-climate change. But the issue is, and then you have other people so they throw all this stuff out as just straw man. It's silly. And then you have other people say, well, I know someone who died from coronavirus. And I'm like, well, I've known people die from car crash. I know people die from a heroin overdose. I know people who die from the flu. I don't, the fact that someone who died doesn't give any legitimacy to mandating and taking away freedoms. I don't know, buddy, stop. Come on, up, come on. You got to stop it. Yeah, curb was. There we go. Okay, let's just chill. There we go. Let's just relax. All right, so we'll go into that a little bit more, but yeah, it's just frustrating. But I get frustrated and I say, all right, well, people are going to be what people are going to be. You just got to do it. Yeah, nothing burger is literally. And then I had a guy post today. He's like, there's a 4% more mortality, whatever the morbidity rate, whatever the thing is. I'm like, I knew a guy who died of sinus infection. I know people who die from peanut allergies. People from peanut allergies. My wife is on a Facebook page with moms posting about their kids from peanut allergies. People from dying from bee stings. It's just the whole thing. And you can't, we say we need more bees. Well, bees kill people, man. Exactly. Hospitals are packed now because they prevented people from having elective surgery. And everyone thinks elective surgery is like getting Botox. No, it's freaking not like getting Botox. Elective surgery is that they don't have to do it right now. They can put it off, but it's still needed for your safety. Yeah, I hate hearing science. It's always science. The science says the science doesn't speak. I'm just so sick of these guys saying like, oh, I'm like, dude, just let's go back to climate change. You ever heard of the Little Ice Age? You ever heard of the medieval warm period? You ever know what happened in the Romans times? Well, just why can't people I'm just going off on a tangent. I'm sorry. Why can't people just see the world for it as it is? It's weird. I'm sitting there thinking, Michael Mann did not use the medieval warm period. He did not. And why would you? And yet people fall for this because the consensus is freaking scary. All right. Zabutify said he worked on the cadaver and medical gross anatomy of a guy who died of sinus infection. I guess I don't really know him, but he did. In fact, someone posted yesterday. He says, I don't think I'll be able to find it. This is crazy. Check this out. This is freaking crazy, man. Hold on, this is crazy. Anyway, I'm going to go back and read. So if you have comments on my YouTube channel about being scared crapless of the coronavirus, I'm going to start reading some of these. On tomorrow, I'm going to do some videos on that because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all these guys saying one thing and then pretend like what they said before they didn't say. And now that, oh my goodness, you said, I'm tired of that. And I just want to call people out. If you got comments on there and you said, ooh, I don't know if I want to be called out, you better go delete them because I'm tired of that crap. It's not good. You're scaring people. and you're being part of the mob mentality, which says it's okay to protest, but it's not okay to freaking go. Check this out. So I was at Walmart today. I'm looking for some potatoes. You don't need organic potatoes. You really want the chits to grow, and chits to grow are the little eyes that come out. When they spray them, it makes it harder for the chips to grow because they are spraying with pesticides, and that can keep them. So you don't need organic, but generally speaking, you want to see if there's a little bit of a chits already sprouting up, and usually you find those in organic. So I'm touching all the potatoes, no hands, no gloves, no nothing, but it doesn't matter. I'm touching everything. Of course, there's no evidence at all anymore that stuff transmits by touching. We don't know that at all. The evidence is the other direction. Yet still people wear gloves. Still people say don't touch things. And yet, like the library here, they literally quarantine books for 48 hours. So you can go to Walmart, touch all the melons all day long, all the potatoes all day long. No one, no problem. But if you go to the library, return your book, you can't even go to the library, return your books anymore because they literally quarantine the books for 48 hours. This is freaking crazy. But they'll say it because you get sneeze on the books. Oh. All right, so let's see. I want to, so bear with just a second here. If I could find this one. Yeah, I think this is it. Let's see. Here he goes. Here he goes. This guy says anti-vax, anti-climate change, anti-mask, just anti-science because science speaks. Science is speaking, and science says, Josh, climate change, the way we see it, is real. Climate change, the vax, even though there's no science to validate the vaccines for children and infants, and we have evidence that says maybe it's not as healthy as we should assume. And people say, oh, but it's science. What is the science? I don't need to produce it. I just say the science. And then what else do you say? The mask. There's no the science. Again, the science actually, if anything, is on the other side of some of this stuff, especially wearing masks outside. There's no science for wearing a mask outside. All right. Hold on just a second. I want to read this to you if I can find it. I'm not gonna be able to find it. Nah, too bad. Anyway, he said basically what it was is oops. He said he knew he knew somebody whose dad was labeled died from coronavirus, and the daughter who he knew the daughter, really close friend in Arizona, screamed bloody murder, and he did not die from coronavirus. And then they did not do any testing or something like that. They couldn't validate it at all. And so what he did was the daughter said, no, I want proof that he died from coronavirus. And they could not prove it. And so the daughter said, you need to change the death certificate to reflect what he truly died from. And they did. And, I don't know if this guy's telling me the truth or not, but, I mean, I assume he is. You always assume the best, right? But still, I was like, I bet that happens all the time, that they're just putting on there. And we know for a fact that you get paid more in the hospitals for coronavirus. All right. So anyway, I saw my man Quincy said something about, hey, Josh, I'm a big fan of index funds. How do you convince my mom to drop her financial advisor, which has a high fee Vesco and Thornburg fund, including an MLP income fund, which has lost 34%. Who's that? Hey, okay. Quincy, you just show her, she got $100,000 portfolio. She's paying, $1,000 a year, and you just show her over the course of 10 years, it's going to cost you $10,000. Is it worth it? I'm just using that for an example. I think when people actually see the dollar amount they pay, and you say, okay, what could you bought with that $10,000 as opposed to paying your financial advisor? That's what I would do. And then that's it. You can't convince people what they don't want to hear. Well, just like we're talking about here, I just say, look, and I mean, we have people, when I was in practice, paying $25,000 a year in management fees. And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, that's a freaking car a year in investment management fees. And, we might, some years we'd be a little bit above the index, some years are a little bit below it. But net of fees, if you just had the index outright, you save the $25,000, and we're all pretty much making the same amount of money. And I'm thinking so you could easily show you're paying $25,000 a year in fees, $25,000. I mean, if you think about it, your first job, you probably weren't making $25,000. Now we have to take into account that your first job was in 1980 or something like that. I get that, but still, you make that you make that connection of the actual labor it costs for you to make that kind of money, for the fees that you're paying. And then you say, what's the labor these guys are doing to validate that, if that makes sense? And there is no labor. But, you know, I'm not really in the business of trying to convince people. I'm in the business, as you should be, Quincy, of just pointing it out. Like, look, you're paying this, mom. What could you do instead with that money? You know, in the life insurance stuff, you know, a lot of life insurance guys will try to sell you on life insurance. Like, if you put in, I don't know, $10,000 a year, and this is a horrible sales strategy, but for some reason I think it works, you'll have $1 million of cash value by the time you're 65 years old. And you're sitting there thinking, okay, that's great, but I don't have $10,000 a year. So what good life insurance people will do is they'll try to say, where can we find the money for you to get that $10,000 a year? You see what I'm saying? And that's because then you're sitting there like, I can show you all day long. If you do this, if you give me $1 billion, you know, I can make world peace. But you're like, I don't have $1 billion bucks, so I can't do that. So what you have to do is say, well, if you, maybe we didn't spend so much on your light, so maybe you got a incandescent light bulb. You know, that is not, that's an LED right there. But maybe you have an incandescent light bulb. Let's see if you got to stop that. Hold on. Hey, this guy. No, you need to stop. No, hey, no. We're not doing this right now. So maybe what you say is, you know, can we find your lighting bill? Maybe you're paying too much on your lighting bill, as opposed to, and we save that, you know, $50 a month on electricity costs because we switch you out to LEDs. That's $50 a month you could use to a term life insurance policy. And you do the same thing with your mom, Quincy. You say, all right, mom, well, if you weren't paying this guy, you could use that money for, you know, long-term care insurance or something like that. I hope that helps. You can't convince. You just got to point out and let her figure out herself. Roberto said you like the video on closed-end funds. Thanks, man. CEFs are closed-end funds. No, go to Pablo's bed. Pablo's bed. No, Pablo's bed. Good boy. No, Pablo's bed. Good boy. No, you stay there. Pablo's bed. Good boy. No, we're not barking. I mean, you can come up if you want. Uppy, come on. You can come up. That's fine, but you can't be barking all over the place. All right, so what were we talking about? Yeah, I'm okay with closed-end funds. The idea that you're going to get 11% yield with no, just the whole thing's nuts. Or what does he say, 9.75? Nah, that's nuts. All right, let's see. All right, so Quincy says, yeah, I saw that, Ernest. Can I say all lives matter without being shot in the head like that woman in Indiana? I saw that. She's paying $4,000 investment fees plus whatever financial advisor is taking. It's crazy. I keep trying to show. You just got to show her the $4,000. I say, look, what could you do with that $4,000, mom? You could take a cruise. I mean, just all kinds. Oh, so I want to go into a little bit of the Wellington too. Hey, what's up, Mary Beth? Because I do have some fun stuff. This is gonna be cool. It was science that the Earth was the center of the universe, and that spontaneous generation was real too. Yep. Didn't they? Okay. My man Zabutify says he disagrees for the most part with vaccinations. They do work. The question that I have is, when you give a child 19 doses of all these different vaccines, what's the long-term effects? And we simply don't know. We don't know. There is no evidence that says this is safe. Now, people say, well, you want us to prove a negative. No, I don't want you to prove a negative. I want it to be positive, that we can be rest assured that there is no correlation between the vaccines, because there is a correlation between the increasing vaccines and the increasing risk to children for asthma, for all kinds of allergies, which are deadly, by the way. I don't know if the correlation equals causation. I don't know that. I have no clue. But there's something amiss. Is it a remiss or a miss, right? Yeah, there's something wrong. Let's just use that. That says we have children that are getting worse and worse and worse. And it's not just because they're playing video games. You know, my kids were born without playing video games, but they all have allergies to some degree. None of me or my wife, when there was 12 of us all together, our brothers and sisters, not one of us had allergies. So what happened? I mean, I don't know. It's the crap we eat, probably, maybe. Is it the air we breathe? Probably, maybe. Get it vaccines? Probably, maybe. We have all these what ifs. I don't know. But the idea to say, should we not think about this crap? In fact, let me just show you. I've been wanting to do this for a little bit. All right, I'm going to show you guys something. This is not an anti-vaccine. This is just curious. And I don't know why people say, oh, you're into. I just want to show you. My man sent this to me, which I thought was very interesting. This is the vaccine schedule. This is from Nelson Branco in Larkspur, California, whatever that is. I looked up his website. You know, these is Talamat. And we got, and I'll look, man, I'll do a video on this myself, but we got the first vaccine, smallpox, and I'll just go. In the early part of the century, scientific progress had allowed for the development of new vaccines and large-scale vaccine production. We've got DTP, smallpox. Then we go down to when an MMR come in the 1960s, I believe. Polio, smallpox, DTP. Then we got MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, and MMR. All right, so we recommended vaccines. Now we're starting to get sick. Okay. In the 70s, smallpox was declared eradicated and use of the vaccine was discontinued. MMR was combined into one, MMR, right? So we got the three, MMR, polio, DTP, all right, tetanus. Now we got HIV, influenza type B. We keep going down. We got hepatitis B, recommended vaccines. And here's a schedule for children. You can see we got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And that's in 1995. 1996, we had this. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of course, MMR is not just one. It's, you know what I'm saying? They're combined into one, but there's lots of different things going on. 1998 starts adding these guys: poliovirus, rotavirus. 2000. Let's just keep going down. 2002, and we go down 2006. You can see all these ones being added. 2007. Look at all these ones being added. Kind of creepy. And you can see 4 to 6 years. Look at all that right there. 2011, all these ones being added. Nothing frightening about that. 2012, 2018. I mean, look at this, man. And this is straight from the CDC recommended vaccine schedule for infants. What does that mean? I don't know. But the idea that the word vaccine makes it safe in of itself is preposterous. We don't know that. And I just know for a fact that we have a lot of kids who are hurting physically, and just to assume that the vaccine has nothing to do with it when we have no evidence whatsoever, especially in this day and age with the coronavirus. We have no knowledge of the vaccine is safe and with the level of the doses that they give. And it's going to be mandated. It's going to be mandated. There's no doubt in my mind that vaccines are going to be mandated for the coronavirus whenever that comes out. Should it come out? It's coming. And it's they're going to mandate all this too. Now they get away with it. They're going to mandate all these vaccines. You're like, but where's the evidence that's safe? And there isn't any, man. There's none. And I'm sitting there thinking, don't we want to know this before we start injecting this stuff into our bodies just randomly, willy-nilly, assume that this is okay for you? No, I find that frightening that people are okay with that. Has the word vaccine, it must be safe. And they'll point to polio. I'm not arguing against it. I'm arguing that this combined of all these things and young children is safe. Where is the evidence? And the funny thing is, it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, well, we can't prove it's not safe. Okay, because they say we can't prove a negative. Can't prove it's not safe. I'm like, well, I'd like for you to prove a positive, but let's just argue that we can't prove it's not safe. All right, well, same thing goes with masks. That's the same thing. It's like the same thing. I'm sitting there thinking you want on both sides of the equation, not use a bootify, but we're like, vaccines can't prove that they're safe because we can't prove that they're not safe. You see how they do that, the little trick. It can't prove a negative. And I say, okay, well, let's prove about this other stuff that we're doing right now. You can't do it. And yet the whole thing is crazy. All right. Yeah, science when it involves gender. Exactly. Isn't that funny? There's 57 things. You all got to read my book from John Waters about give us back the bad roads. He talks about this a lot, like where we are in the latter stages of a wealthy society. And it's eye-opening because once you read and you kind of just think, you're like, yeah, we're on the precipice. Actually, we're even more than the precipice. We're on the way down. And look, I don't say that like, oh my goodness, the freaking zombies are coming. There's no way a society can stand when we argue against science for gender and then we argue for science for everything else. And then when it comes to gender, we say, no, there's no science. Or we argue against science, the same science we're arguing. So you can't protest in front of your Michigan Whitmer mayor, governor, but you can protest for George Floyd. It's just, we know it's crazy. It's crazy. So that's why I say you got to be prepared, because it's only going to get worse, man. There's no two ways around that. All right, let's keep going down. Common sense is dead. Yeah, I can agree more. Tell people lies and the conservatives get mad. Tell the truth and the liberals get mad. Everyone's going to die. I believe science shut down Planned Parenthood yesterday. I believe in science shut down Planned Parenthood. There's actually a black lady who does protests in front of abortion clinics, and she was arrested. I want to say it's New Jersey, but I'm not sure, for not wearing a mask. And I kind of got a chuckle at that. Her name is I'll tell you who she is. I like her a lot. Let me see. Hold on just a second if I can't find her. She's crazy. I mean, she's crazy for Jesus. So let me just put that. I say that in a good way. I find her very honorable, but she doesn't hold back on her love of Jesus. That's for sure. So if that's not your right here, Bevelyn Betty, arrested for not wearing a mask. She's fantastic. So there she is right there, Bevelyn Betty. So if you want to subscribe to her, right there. Big fan. And there's my man, Jericho Green right there. Who I freaking love that guy right there, Jericho Green. So you should subscribe to him too. All right. So Ray, I did get your thing, by the way. Mucho gracias. I just haven't had a chance to email you, but much obliged, my friend. Marie, hello. But anyway, it's okay to disagree. This is the thing. It's okay. I'm actually interested in people's arguments because it helps solidify my own. And when I say, this is the interesting thing. I wish more people would be open-minded enough to say, well, show me the evidence. So like I was reading the thing about my first couple takes on the coronavirus, and this guy named Bry, I think, Big Lib out of Oregon or something like that. He's a good guy, but he said, I say, I'm just not that worried about coronavirus. I'm just not. He goes, well, it's not that the death is what's the worst thing. It's that what the repercussions are for people who get it. And he pointed to an article. I said, well, I wasn't aware of that. I'd like to read that. And he sent me an article, which I haven't read yet, but because we don't know, because it's a novel virus. So we don't know what the long-term repercussions are. But it's interesting. Someone pointed out, I said, Bry, but a lot of these things, when you're coming out of the flu, you have issues with breathing and stuff. And what usually can happen is you just get back into shape, essentially. And I don't know that to be true. And I just don't know. I'm ignorant. But it's interesting. And the level of a debate that is done in a way that can be respectful to each other is imperative, I think. And I just don't know why, frankly, people on the left don't. There are some on the right, but not that many. It's the left that gets crazy. If you disagree, I mean, literally, they want to cancel you for saying there's two genders. It's nuts. And I like that because the guy, in a very respectful way, he said, this is the latest back in February, the latest on the long-term ramifications. And I didn't read the article. I just totally forgot. But I was like, well, we don't know, but it's interesting. It would be interesting to read. And that's the way debate should be. And this is how I actually came to my own realization that we don't know about the long-term effects of all these vaccination doses, because I was having this debate with somebody and they were freaking out. I was like, dude, why are you so angry? It's the weirdest thing. And I said, just show me it. I'd love to read it. I read voicariously, voice. I don't know what it is. I read a lot. Try to get these smart words in there, and I never come up with them. But anyway, so I read a lot, and he sent me this thing from I said this a million times about the Institute of Medicine, IOM. In their article, it wasn't an article, it was actually a document that you could pay $45 for. But I think I was able to get the whole thing. I can't remember. Maybe I knew a librarian or something like that. I forgot. And it did not say at all what their executive summary said. It did not. And I was sitting there thinking, this is your evidence? This exactly proves the exact opposite. It shows that they don't have the evidence. It was nuts. And some guy had sent me something recently that he said proved it. And I read that. I said, no, this doesn't. The whole thing's crazy. So anyway, all right. So let's go. I want to show you a couple. Actually, before I do anything, I want to show you this guy right here. All right. So this, I'm hoping y'all can see that. Yes, you kind of can. I don't know if I put it up. All right, so what I want to show you here is this is an index universal life insurance, a client I was working with. I have to, let's see if I can't make it without that glare. Oh yeah, okay, that's better. All right, so what happens here, you know what I'm gonna try to do here. This is actually, I think this is pretty interesting. So bear with me just a second. Because a lot of people are anti-index universal life insurance. And to some degree, I am too. Anyone know what that is right there? Anybody? Let's see. First person knows what that is. Voraciously. Hey, Denise Wheaton, right on from California. What is this? What does this signify right here? This shirt. Anybody know? Let's see. Only cool people know. So are there any cool people in the house right now? Where's Rob from Worcester? I'm waiting. So I will wait and see if anyone knows what this is right here. All right. Hockey stick, halfway there, Land Cruiser. So hockey stick is way big. My daughter got it for me. Close. Ray. Oh, man, Ray. Whalers? The Hartford Whalers? Jeez Louise. David Brown, Quebec Nordiques. Yes, sir. And we got three guys. L 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Quebec Nordiques. Yes, sir. Somebody fell down the toilet. Hartford, what? Where do you see Hartford Whalers here? Oh my goodness. Where's Hartford Whalers, my friends? Roy, Ray, what are you doing? Yeah, Nordiques. Yep, exactly. I love you guys. I'm giving you a hard time, Ray and Roy. It's okay. This is the old Quebec Nordiques, all right? And the classic, the Canadian. If you ever want to see a hockey fight, watch the Canadians, Quebec Nordiques get into it. It's freaking awesome. That was when white white supremacy or patriarchy. All the left seems to know. Man, with the Quebec Nordiques and Montreal Canadiens, man, woo, that was brutal. That's back in the day when hockey was real. Minnesota North Stars. Oh man, yep, became the Avalanche. Yep. No wait, we got Hartford moved to Colorado to no, Hartford moved to Carolina. Winnipeg Jets moved to Phoenix. I'm drawing, but did Winnipeg Jets move to Phoenix? Yeah. Quebec moved to Colorado. They got Patrick Waugh. I guess that's it, right? So Winnipeg, Hartford, and Quebec. Yeah, I think that's it. I am a Bruins fan, but old school hockey, man. Old school. Look at that. Totally Bruins fan. Stastny brothers. Yep. Oh man, I heard the Carolina Hurricanes are thinking of changing their name because the worst storms were named after one. Ah. All right, yeah, right, man. Jesus. All right, so let's go to this. So a lot of people are anti-index universal life. I'm not saying go out and buy it, but I want to show you the benefit of it for sure. All right, so let's see what we got here. Oh man, freaking who's Hans? Get out of my channel, man. Get off my channel, Hans. You know the Blackhawks are not changing their name. Yes, take that, political correctness. And the reason is because it honors Chief Blackhawk, wherever that guy's name was, man. Now Atlanta moved to Calgary, then they moved back to Winnipeg. Atlanta. Yep, Joe Sakic. Yes, right, because he went to Colorado. Yep. Yeah, throwback jersey rock. Exactly. So the Blackhawks are saying, no, we're not changing. I mean, look at the Blackhawk icon. That thing, no one's offended by the Blackhawks. Look, you can make an argument, the name Redskin, but that guy, he's freaking honorable as all can be. The Indian, the smiling Indian, I get that. But the Blackhawk, the red skin guy, I mean, you can argue that the name because it says skins. We don't want to identify anybody by their skin color. But, man, give me a flipping break. The only people offended by that in Washington, D.C. are the big libs who write for the Washington Post. That's it. No one else is offended by that. But they're going to change their name. Stupid. And they're going to go the Washington Warriors with some stupid, just dumb. All right. So the last 20 years, this is an index universal life insurance policy this lady had. Now she's only had it for 5, all right? So, but they showed you the results of what happens in this regard. So there's a 100% participation rate up to 6%, all right? So what that means is you will get 100% of the gains to the first 6%, and then you'll get no more, all right? So you have no downside, and your upside is maxed at 6. So you're going to get between 0 and 6. That's it. All right. So that seems like, oh, that's not so good. Well, let's look. So 2001 and 2, and then they go from December 15th to December 15th. I don't know why they not calendar year. It's down 7, 13, and 20. That's what the index was. But you were not. You had 0. You lost no money. You made no money, but you lost some money. So whereas the market was down, we can take our trusty calculator. If you would have just had a simple market investment at this point, the S&P 500, you would be down minus 7%, minus 13%, minus 20%. You would have been down to $64,000. But the index universal life, you would have 100. Now the next year's up 17, but you're only up 6. 13, you're only up 6. You can see 2005 is 5%, and you got 5%. Long story short, 2008, you're down 40, but the S&P, but you were not down at all. You had no loss at all. Long story short, after these 20 years, the index universal life had $207,000 of cash value if you started with 100,000. This is basically S&P 500, but not calendar year, but December 15th, December 15th, only had $211,000. All right. So I mean, at the end of the day, you can't argue that. There's nothing to argue with to say, not only did you have, basically the same amount of money, but you also had this lady had a pretty significant death benefit as well. Now, we don't know exactly what this would have been in terms of a death benefit. I don't know. But in this case, she has a death benefit along with a cash value buildup. And over the last 20 years, she basically performed the same as the S&P 500. All right. Now that sounds good. It does sound good. I'm telling you right now. The problem is, this is what I want to go back to. This right here and this right here. So 2008, there we go. And 2000, these right here are basically once a generation events that happen in one decade. It just isn't likely for that to happen back to back like it did. It's just not. So I always look at the aughts, like the Great Depression, 1930s. In fact, if you look at the 1930s, which we can do, it's almost identical. So let's actually do that real quick. Let's go to share screen. We're going to go here. All right, and we're going to go to right here, hide that. So I want to show you what the 30s were like. Yeah, right here, S&P historical returns. All right, so remember, here's it. Let me make sure you all are seeing this. Hold on just a second. Oops. There we go. What we got? Let's go here real quick. Blink. All right, sweet. I want to make sure that y'all can see what I'm looking at here. All right, cool. All right, so here's the S&P 500. Let's make this a little bit bigger. All right, and we're going to go to 1930, down 20. So basically, watch this. 1929, down 9. All right. 2000, down 9. 1930, down 22. 2001 is actually down 12. 1931, down 44. 2002 is down 20. So a lot of similarities there. All right. So now they had 4 straight years of down markets, but still. 1933 way up, 1934 way down a little bit, 1937 down 32, 2008 down 40. In fact, from October 2007 to March 9th of 2009, the S&P 500 is down 54%. So a lot of similarities. Look, 1938 up 17, 2009 up 27, A lot of similarities between the two. Now, that the reason I want to point that out is because it's just not likely to happen like that very often. It could. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to discount the fact that that may or may not happen. Where I'm going with this is that this index universal life, I got that big glare. Sorry about that. So, this index universal life, like anything, a hedge fund, an option account, anything that was protecting your bottom line during the aughts will look good for the 20 years. And I even go back to my man Craig Israelson's his 712 portfolio, which I'm a fan of for sure. But the drawback is over the last 10 years, these portfolios have got skunked because the market was so beneficial in one direction that if you had an account that was underperforming for the last 10 years, you got skunked. And so let me tell you what I mean. All right, so if we take our trusty calculator, let me just go back, and we go to I'm just looking at it right there. Actually, we'll go back to my screen here. Let me just go back. Bear with me just 1 second. Share. We're going to share this guy. All right. So let's look at S&P 500, and we're going to look at it from 2010 till today. So 2010, we're going to take our trusty calculator. If I can get out of my pocket. All right, trusty calculator, and we're going to say 2010. We had $100,000 in the S&P 500, 1.1487 times 1.02 times 1.1588 times 1.3243 times. Oops. Right there. 1.1381 times 1.0131 times 1.1193 times 1.2194 minus 4.42% times 1.33. So over the last 10 years, our $100,000 in the S&P 500 would have made $359,000. All right. So what happened was the previous decade, which is not very likely, it happened in the Depression and it happened in the aughts, really held us back. Really held us back big time. But if we look at the index universal life, which would have got 6, and we just go down to 6% here, all the way down to there, then we got 0 and then 6. So let's do these. So here we got, bear with me just a second, 100,000 times 1.06 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 times 0 times 1.06, got about roughly 170,000 or so. And if my numbers are off a little bit, bear with me. But where I'm going with this, anything will look good if you throw the odds in there for the first half of the 20-year experience. That's what they call it in life insurance. What is the experience? And anything will look good there. The problem is that you take away that 10-year time frame, it doesn't look as good. It just doesn't. Now, the second problem that we have here is what's going to happen in the future. If we don't get huge variability in terms of downside, you're still paying pretty significant fees, if that makes sense. So it's easy to be suckered and to say, look, not only over the last 20 years would you have made basically the same as the S&P 500, 211,000 of the S&P 500, 207,000 in the life insurance, but you would have had a death benefit as well. So if you would have died, your kids would have got the death benefit. But then over the last 10 years, it's not even close. I mean, basically the S&P 500 dwarfed the index universal life insurance and pretty much any life insurance policy for sure. Now, the question that you would have to ask, what's going to happen over the next 10? I don't know. But as always, if you want market-like returns, you have to be in the market. There's no flipping way around that. If you want market-like returns, you've got to take the risk of the market. And that's where I just always default to just buy term, because at least term will provide you the insurance coverage for a very, very cheap cost. But you got to know full well that term will go away at a certain point. You will most likely survive the term, then it'll go away and you'll no longer have life insurance. But by then, looking at this guy right here, My debt would be paid off. My kids would be out of the house. I'll be 65 years old, you know, and I mean, it'd just be Charlotte and me and hopefully Pablo if he can live for another 15 years. And we'll have Social Security, no debt, you know what I'm saying? We'll have downside our home, you know, spend that much, you know, do you even need life insurance? The answer is probably not. So I wanted to point that out, and I'll do a video more specific on this tomorrow where I get a little bit more number crunching. But I think it's important for any kind of thing that said, look, we protected the downside. And, you know, I've told you before about the SWAN defined risk portfolio. Again, they sold options on the puts on the S&P 500, and for the first 10 years of the aughts, it's freaking awesome. It actually made more money than the S&P 500. But for the last 10, it got skunked because the S&P 500 was freaking going crazy like a banshee, and anything that wasn't fully invested in the market it got skunked. There's just no way around that. So relative to the S&P 500. So anyway, hey buddy, I hope that makes sense. All right, so that's one thing I want. Let's see what we got. LA Kings uphold the monarchy. Yes, disband the Kings, uphold the monarchy. Oh, I'm telling you, it's the Cavaliers next. Yeah, Ray, they should have named the Dallas. They should have named the Dallas Lone Stars. I don't know why they couldn't get the ingenuity of the Dallas Lone Stars. That would have been perfect. I am in Portland, and the Winterhawks use a similar jersey as the Blackhawks. Oh, I'm sure that's only a matter of time for the getting rid of that. Yep, Atlanta lost 2 NHL teams. Yep, old school Broad Street Bullies. I still like the Flyers. I've always been a closet Flyers fan. Always been a Flyers fan just because they've always had fans in the stands. They've always been loud, always passionate hockey base. Just always like the Philadelphia Flyers and the orange. And of course, they were the Maine Mariners' initial NHL teams. The Maine Mariners were the AHL minor league affiliate for the Flyers. So the Maine Mariners had the black and orange. Just like the Flyers. We were not affiliated with the Boston Bruins. Isn't that crazy? Anyone putting their money into precious metals, trying to figure out what to do with savings? Yep, I'm late to the game. Let's take a look. I haven't seen precious. Let's take a look at what would you stop growling at me, man? Killing me, buddy. Killing me. I'm trying to perform here live, Pablo. Oh, yeah, Pablo. What a nut. Let's take a look at JM Bullion. I haven't looked at the price of gold for a while. Ooh, 1803. All right, so gold is 1803 an ounce, and silver's at 1890. That's crazy, man. Does it give us a? I'd like to see what the. Yeah, man, I'd like to see what gold has done. There we go. All right, so gold. Let's see if I can't go back to. Let's look at what this does. Very good. There we go. 2000. All right, so here's gold from 2000 until 2011. It went from, what's that, 250 an ounce to freaking 1800. Fell down to 1,000. I think I bought my couple ounces of gold right in, I think, right about here. Some nice little run up there. That's not so bad. Let's take a look at silvers. I loaded up on silver not that long. Oh, look at that. And silver's at 46, 48 basically in 2012. Oh man, nuts. Look at that. So silver has got killed in the last 8 years or so. That's interesting. Interesting to me. All right, so let's look at what this is. Gold, silver, what's this? Gold, silver mix. I'm not sure what this is. Is that Bitcoin? Oh yeah, Bitcoin. All right. That's interesting about gold and silver. I was going to show you guys. I want to show you guys something. This was LBS. Yeah, I think it was LBS. The lumber. LBS. Yeah, right here. Watch this. This is interesting to me. If you want to freaking get involved in something where you can make, hold on just a second. Yeah, here we go. Okay, cool. So let me show you guys this. This is pretty cool. This is Lumber futures. All right, so if you want to get involved in some options trading, man, you want to be involved in the lumber futures because watch the volatility of this. Oh, hold on a second. Come on, man, you're killing me. Let's get rid of this. All right, so look at that, up and down and up, and that's where options can be. I have no clue how you do this, but if you're trying to make money in options, you want stuff that's volatile, man. Look at that. So here you got $500. Literally, it's a futures. I have no idea. Was that for 1,000? I have no idea. But look at that, $500 at the price right now, off a high of $600 back in 2018. But buddy, you are killing me. I'm trying to work here, big man. All right, so hold on a second. Yeah, look at that. So we're here at 341 to 202 to 405 to freaking 148. I mean, look at this volatility. That's what you want to see if you're trying to get, being in options and stuff like that and hedging. My goodness, you should go the year to. Who you calling for, Pablo? Oh, okay. Anyway, hold on a second. I want to see if we can't find. I was watching my man, uneducated economist, talking about this, and I actually emailed him to see if he wanted to be interviewed on my channel because I like that guy. We'll see, but he's literally involved in the in that industry. He works in the lumber yards, and he knows it. Like he's been in the lumber yards probably as long as I've been in financial planning. It's pretty interesting, actually. All right, so if I'm buying precious metals, there apathy. I would buy the coinage, if that makes sense. And I got to tell you, so here's the way I look at it. I think people make this mistake all the time. They buy these big fat gold ounces. I think that's dumb. The point about gold isn't that you're going to trade it for a higher price later. The point about gold is that you're going to be able to use that when all hell breaks loose. It's not that you can say, I got gold ounce for $1,800, now it's trading at 3,000. That's not the point of gold, dude. The point of gold is simply to say, all right, the freaking commies are here. I need to find an escape path, and my escape path is going to be my gold, if that makes sense. And so what I would do if I were you, I'd buy the ounces or I'd buy some ounces. Don't get me wrong. I'd buy some silver. Silver's a hell of a lot cheaper, but I would be buying, quarters, not gold quarters, but quarter ounces, things, that stuff where you can, you don't want to be going bellying up to the bar like they did in the Wild West. Say, here's a gold coin, a gold ounce, give me a freaking, pint of Guinness. That's not what you want. You want to be bellying up the bar to say, here's a couple coins of silver. And by the way, I need to get a train. I need to get a boat out of here because the Bolsheviks are coming. Here's a gold ounce, if that makes sense. So I'd be buying the actual coinage, and I would be buying it in various, I don't know what you call it, denominations, I guess, tenths, quarters, and then ounces too, and then get some silver as well. All right, my man Ernest, why don't men take a break for one day like women did? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. If think about it, if men took a day off, I'm going to do a video. I was thinking about it today. I haven't thought when I was reading my man John Waters' book. Man, that guy, I cannot recommend this guy enough. These Irish guys and ladies too, but Irish guys, they have some just the way they put words together is nuts. Even if English isn't their first language, and this guy, he spoke Gaelic, I think. But anyway, long story short, I'm like sitting there thinking, man, the way these guys write, it's insane. It's insane. Some of the best lyrics you'll ever read in your life are from Ireland. It's crazy. And you're sitting there like, how did they get that? It's from God. Literally, it's from God. Anyway, so he was writing about men and their trade and stuff. And I said, man, that is so right what he's talking about. I was going to do a video. I didn't do it this morning. I'll do it tomorrow. But it's just nuts. I think men. The Return of Men is the video title, and I've been thinking about it a lot because I do think the last 30 years we've gone away from that, and I think those days are coming to an end. I'm not negative, Nelly. I just think at the end of the day, the obvious reality is you have a large section of society that has never actually been around men, even men, if that makes sense, and they've never seen men actually do manly work. Taking out trees, just freaking changing the oil. Simple stuff like that. And because that we've been led by women and nothing. I love my wife, love my kids, love my mom. but there is a role for men, and the role needs to be more than just, watching women in school, women at home, and it's more than that. And I think it's coming back. And I do. And I think what I mean by that is there's a skill set that has been demeaned using your hands as opposed to, pushing papers around. And I just think those days are coming to an end, because I do think we're on the downside of the American enterprise. I do. That does not mean it's going to be a year tomorrow that there won't be any dollar left. I don't mean it like that at all. I just think empires fall every 400 years or so, and we're probably 2/3 the way through that. And it's sad, but it's the way it is, man. I mean, it's just no other way around that. The empire falls. We get too fat and happy. You could make an argument for the for the way the climate is, frankly. It gets cold and it's bad. So hey, we'll see. Oh, no, thanks, babe. You want to say hi? Hey, it's my wife. It's the second time y'all got to see her. Hey, babes.
Hello.
What'd you give me for my birthday? I just paid her to come down and pretend she's my wife.
Okay. Bye.
I love you. You guys see, that's my wife. Why would she marry this guy? That doesn't make sense. It's not like I have money sitting around. Not only did she marry me, she brought me some hot tea. Oh, man, Lord. Thank you, good Lord, for my beautiful wife. Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. All right. So, let's see. Ron says he's got some metals that have been doing well. Commodities like copper and wheat. Yeah, right on, man. It's actually funny. You said inflation is rearing its ugly head now. I don't know, man. I don't think we're going that. I mean, I think inflation on any given, I just don't see it. I don't. Oh, that's what I want to talk about. This was with my man from I don't even know the dude's name, from Uneducated Economist. Yeah, she is very pretty. That's for sure, Mary Beth. Oof. It's funny with my wife. She's one of 9, and they had a 3 or 4 bedroom place in Northern Virginia, in a not a great part of Northern Virginia. So I think she had to share a room with 2 of her sisters or something like that. And her dad died young, and her mom, heavy smoker. And again, that's what I'm talking about. None of them have allergies. None of them have any health issues. It's like when we kicked out smoking and mandated vaccines, which I know they aren't mandated, but they kind of are. All of a sudden, I know our immune system has gone south. It's weird, man. Something ain't right. I don't know what it is, but no one smokes anymore. And both my parents smoked like chimneys, and my immune system's good. My brother and sister immune system fine. Her mom smoked like freaking carton of Cools a day. Not really a carton, but you know what I'm saying. And nothing wrong with them. So what happened, man? Something happened, and just like no one has any curiosity to wonder. All right. So anyway, I'm not sure if metals are what they used to be. Will gold quadruple in 20 years? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so, Patty. How will the economy react when the birth rate and marriage are at their lowest record? Man, I could not agree more on that, Ernest. So my man Ernest says, how will the economy react when the birth rate and marriage are at their lowest rates ever? That's not inflationary. There's no other way around that. That is not inflationary. And it's happened throughout the world. A lot of people think, oh my goodness, the Moroccans are going to dominate. No, you look, even the quote third world countries, as they grow economically, their birth rates are dropping off as well. It's happening all over the world. The population is slowing its growth for sure. This will get me in trouble. I am not convinced there isn't a subset of the population in the West that is not displeased by viruses that are affecting third world countries. I really believe that. And if you just look at the history of some of these people, and not even that long ago, in the 70s, mandatory sterilization, for instance, And they weren't mandatory sterilizing the Europeans. They weren't trying to do that at all. We know who it was, third world people who were having too many babies. Some evil stuff happening, man. Evil stuff about that. And I just, it's sad because you're sitting there thinking, why do your kids have a right to live? Some rich guy in the West Coast, Northwest, Pacific Northwest. Why do your kids have a right to live? But these other kids, yeah, they're just collateral damage. The human experiment is freaking nuts. Breaks your heart, man. It breaks your heart because all human beings are made in Jesus's name. I mean, in Jesus's image. He died for all of us. We're all made in God's image, but Jesus died for us all. So to sit there and say that group of people has less of a right to life than we do is freaking evil, man. Is evil. And I sit there and think, if Black lives truly matter, don't African lives matter? Why are we freaking using slave labor and in China and North Korea? Why aren't you making your freaking LeBron, your Nikes in Africa, man? You know what I'm saying? Why aren't you advocating for fossil fuels to be used in Africa? It's nuts because lots of people are dying from starvation, tuberculosis, from freaking having just lung cancer because they don't have good access to quality air because they have to breathe in crap to heat their homes and cook their foods. Black Lives Matter, huh? Friggin' nuts. Who was it that said this? I forgot who was. Someone said that LeBron James should be freaking making his shoes in Akron, Ohio, where he's from. He won't do it though. And Nike won't do it. Someone had posted on here that Phil Knight is a big Republican. I said, I'd like to see that. It turns out Phil Knight had donated to some guy running for governor of Oregon last year. And I was like, okay, he probably knew that guy. Doesn't mean he's a big Republican. All right. Gold was 255 20 years ago. Now it's 1800. Could it go 4 times going forward? The thing isn't that gold is increasing, is our currency losing value with all the printing lately? Well, it really hasn't lost that much value. It just hasn't. It just hasn't. A 2% steady devaluation is what we're seeing. The price of gold has gone up simply. It's not because it's not like gold's sitting here flat and the price of the dollar has dropped. I mean, gold has gone up. And that's just speculation. No other way around that. Don't forget, my friend, there was no gold. You could not trade or own gold until from like 1935 until like 1973, 71 or 70. I think it was 73. You could. It was illegal. So there's this complete, we don't have a history of gold other than basically my whole life, which is I was born in 1970 because it was illegal. It was illegal. So here's what I want to say about gold and going into what my uneducated economist said today in a video, which I thought was interesting, but I think he missed it. Apparently Japan is going to this digital wallet thing, and I haven't followed it, I haven't read the article, but I found it of interest. I have been of the theory for many years that we're going to a cashless society because that's how they can control. That's literally how they can control. Take away the cash, and you got unlimited, unencumbered control. Access to your own money, your own accounts will be through the authorities. They can easily restrict you from getting access to your cash. And it's not conspiratorial, like, oh, that's crazy talk. No, it's not. It's just not. It's happening in front of our very eyes. And Larry Summers, who was Obama's Treasury Secretary, I believe, was advocating a cashless society. Now we have more and more people advocating it because the drug war is no one cares about the drugs so much anymore in terms of like, oh, we got to keep the freaking narcos from being able to have $5,000 of cash. Now they'll say cash carries too much germs because germs are evil. So they're going to use that as a way to mandate no more cash. They throw on top of that, your mom and pop shops are closed down. You got to wear a mask. It's inconvenient. It's a pain to go. And more people are buying online. And lo and behold, we have a cashless society just by default, essentially. And what's going to happen with the cashless society is they're going to say, yeah, there's no reason for anyone to have cash anymore. No one has it. The cool kids don't have cash. So let's just go to cashless society. And I truly believe that's happening. And what the uneducated economist said, which I thought was incredibly perceptive, apparently what they're doing in Japan, or their thing, I don't know if they're doing or thinking, but again, I'm just going off his video. I haven't read the article, but it inherently makes sense. You want to have consumer demand. How do you generate consumer demand? Well, obviously you would think negative interest rates would, because people don't want to hold on to bank accounts if they're losing money. So Japan, Europe have had negative interest rates, going on 10 years now. Hasn't worked. Has not done increased consumer demand. Even though you're losing money by holding on to long bonds in Japan and Europe. hasn't worked, man, in terms of stimulating demand. And remember, consumer demand or consumer spending, I should say, is 70% of our economy. Not working. All right. So if it doesn't work, what do? You penalize people. This is what they did. Was it Argentina? I think it was Argentina. I interviewed my man, the modern survivalist, who was from Argentina, and he talked about this. I'm almost positive Argentina. They basically said, we're going to put you in a new currency. I'm butchering this essentially, but they basically said, we're going to take you out of this. We're going to put you in something new, and we're going to give you 30 cents on the dollar, and you got no choice. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And so Japan, what the idea would be, we're going to put we'll just use an example, put $1,000 in your digital wallet. If you don't spend it within the next 6 months, it'll only be worth $800. If you don't spend it within the next year, it'll be worth $600. So what does that do? It makes you have this incentive to spend that money. Money creates demand, spending creates demand, right? So it's a demand side economy. It's always bad. We always want supply. We don't want the demand side, but be it as it may, the demand stimulates the economy, and thus you have spending, and theoretically you're nipping the deflation in the butt. That's not good though, because it shows you the deflation, the valuation of holding cash, which is making you consume it as opposed to holding it or investing. And I find that to be kind of frightening. I could easily see something like that happening here. And if that were to happen here, on top of, we're going to say, we're going to give you a stimulus check, for instance, but we're going to put in this digital wallet. We're not going to send you a check with Trump's signature on that. We're not going to do that. We're going to send you a digital wallet, but you have 6 months to use it or else you'll lose 20%. You can easily see that'll get people accustomed to it. By the way, you don't want to carry COVID, economy virus, because it's bad. And so because of that, we're going to go away with cash, and maybe we'll just have $20 denominations. And if you're carrying more than 5 $20 denominations and you get pulled over, we could think you're up to no good. I mean, you could see, all right. Hello. You could see this happen a mile away. And what used to be conspiracy theories are now, there's no way anyone should say these are just conspiracy theories, because it's happening. Oh, come here, just come here. Right, come on. I find that to be an interesting take on it. So watch that guy, the Uneducated Economist. I'm kind of a fan of him. I mean, I like his stuff. I don't know if I agree with everything, but I do like his takes on that. It had me thinking, that's for sure. All right. Do I like Schwab intelligent portfolios for long-term money? Like I'll never spend? No, I would buy just the index, to be honest with you, Robert. I wouldn't touch the intelligent portfolios. It's just too much cash for long-term money. And if you're never going to spend it, just put an index, VTI as a VTI, the total stock index, be done with it. Jill says, I've shown a way to make my lump sum pension be worth 4 to 5 times more. That works, something like that. It'd also be up half my, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Is that they're referring to the index universal life insurance thing? We got 2 cups in LA, more than the Nordiques. Yeah, I tell you that Rangers Kings series, even though it only went 5, was fun to watch, man. That was a good series. I bought an ounce at 1,300 a few years ago. Yeah, me too, Hans. Too many ETFs for me, and a good amount they keep in cash. Yeah, Quincy's talking about the intelligent portfolios. Also, NHL qualifier playoffs will be starting in August. Yeah, man. I follow the hockey guy, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this shakes out. And it looks like it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. If you had 250,000 in 408B, would you? Okay. I think some typos. Would you convert it to a Roth? Surrender period is gone. Ray, there's way too many things to consider there. The answer is probably, but if you're married rather than not married, if you got a pension, lots of what are you trying to do? Generally speaking, the default is yes. That's the thing, folks. My default is always yes to convert, but then we got to find out why not to, if that makes sense. Yeah, right here. When silver's 12, they'd only sell it for 26. That means when it's 50, you'd want to sell, they only give you 20 for it. I believe Schwab portfolio got clobbered more than the S&P 500 during the February, March crash. Yeah, I can tell we got some people using their phones typing stuff in. I get that. I get that for sure, Quincy. I think that might be right. Yeah, I see you made a video on this on suburbia is done if blue wave happens. In fact, I just read today in some articles I watched that said the same thing. Silver is more unstable as cash. You got it, apathy. This reminds me. Oops. AI is only going to get way better and humans more expensive to hire. We'll see, man. I mean, I thought we for sure would be having self-driving cars by now. Those aren't anywhere near to be found. And I thought for sure we'd be able to call in the next 5 years, call to get a car to come pick me up to take me to the grocery store. We'd be renting kind of short-term rentals on cars. I don't think so. I think this COVID-19 thing has really shown people that what we had thought before is not the panacea we think now. I think I think we got a lot yet to do in terms of AI, self-driving cars. You can have this fleet of cars out there ready to pick you up. I think if anything, this COVID-19 thing, this freaking insane shutdown, all this stuff has shown people. I like my little suburban area, my little plot of land, my little postage stamp house, and my car in the garage. I think that's. I think society will arrange itself accordingly over the next couple of years because of this. We'll see. This reminds me of all the men around my dad's age that always told me women handle the money in the household. I think you enjoy humans videos. He captures society and gender relationships from a philosophical perspective that's quite enlightening. All right, cool. That's why you save up before your job gets eliminated. I completely agree, man. Save it, got cash on the side, something before your job gets eliminated. Now, for the record, I don't have any cash. I just got a little bit. All mine's at M1. I mean, I got my IRA and I got M1. That's it. So all my cash is investment. And, and every month that it goes up is great. Every month it goes down, it sucks. But ultimately, I do still believe in the markets. I absolutely do. I mean, what's the alternative? So, if let's just say I have 25,000 bucks. We'll just throw that out there. And M1, and now we're down 40%. So now I got 25,000 bucks minus 40%. I'm down to what, 12, 15,000. All right. That's still better than if I didn't get any growth at all to fall 40%. And it's this way I look at it. So I don't keep any cash, but I'm still working. I still got income coming in. If I was retired and had no income coming in other than like Social Security, I'd have cash. Absolutely. Mark says, I know someone has a load of silver buried on his properties, preparing for when the crap hits the fan. Silver is more issuable than gold. I completely agree with that. 100%. Silver is someone else that said that too, Mark. Someone else has said silver is more usable as cash. Right on. Jake said that too. I completely agree. Am I loading into VDIX and VTV, or are you sitting back and waiting to see if the drop happens? No, I'd never sit back and wait, Quincy. I'm loading it up every month. I got money going into these guys. Absolutely. Most of them had no clue how much money they actually had, not to mention net worth or debts. Yeah, I saw my wife. Thanks, Mary Beth. She married you for free financial planning advice. Oh man, she married me because I'm a good salesman. Yeah, right on, Ernest. Ernest says, pleased to see some actually appreciate their husbands. And well, I think it's got to be, I look, man, I've only been married to her. I've never been married, but I see my parents married multiple times, and it's got to be a two-way street, right? And if it only goes one way. Now, I was watching when I went down to Florida for a Christian financial planning conference. One of the speakers I thought was a great point. He goes, each person in the relationship has to feel like they are giving 80% and only giving 20. Each person needs to feel that way. Or each person needs to feel they're giving more than getting. That's what it was. Or is it getting more than, I can't remember. But it's like, if both people think that way, that's probably the right level. If both people feel like, I can't remember what it was, getting more than giving or giving more. But I thought, man, that's a good point. So each person has to feel like, they're I can't remember, but I forgot where that was going with that. But anyway, all right. Secondhand smoke is a hoax. I know, man, John. I see that's the thing. All this stuff, dude. It's insane. I mean, just think how insane this is. The idea you're smoking a cigarette at a park. I sit there. I'm smoking a cigarette at a park. Let's just say, and you walk by, and somehow that is going to threaten you. Like, you know how the Scooby Doo with the smoke would like have the finger and point at you and go up your nose, and now you're dead from cancer. That's freaking insane. And that's where the busybodies really took over during the smoking thing during the 90s. And this is where Republicans can kiss my butt, because they stood there and they said, okay. They went along with it. I've told the story. I haven't said it for a while, so I'll just share it with you all here. I was living in Fairfax County because I was going to George Mason, and we had a Republican as one of the Fairfax County commissioners who was a big person pushing through the banning of cigarettes in restaurants and bars. I said, why the hell do you care? Just don't go, man. Just don't go there. It doesn't make sense. And she was like, you know, science. She was saying the same damn thing about science. I said, I just want to drop an anvil on my head. And you could not reason with these people. The issue is she didn't like people smoking. That's what it came down to. And she wanted to ban other people's behavior that she didn't like. That's all there was to it. And she, you know, put it under the cover, the auspice of science. It's bullcrap. Secondhand smoke, nuts. I said, whatever happened to personal, private property, be freedom. Just don't go there, man. It's the same thing with the gay cake stuff. And like my man Young Ripa said, who's a black guy, goes, if someone doesn't want to make me a cake because I'm black, the last thing I want to do is give them my money. That's crazy. But anyway, that's where I knew that we were lost. I knew it back then. It was a 96, 95, something like that. And one of my roommates back then, a good guy, a conservative guy, and he argued with me till he was blue in the face about the need to ban cigarettes in bars and restaurants. We both worked in one in Arlington. He and I worked there together. I said, I'm not gonna say it's great. I love this guy, but I said, I just don't get it, man. He goes, you don't like it is what it comes down to, and because you don't like it, you want other people to abide by what your preference is. I said, that's not the way freedom works. And he tried to couch all of it, well, you know, science and secondhand smoking, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, but ultimately it's like, he just did not like the smell of other people smoking. Crazy. Now you can make an argument on an airplane, I suppose. I mean, that makes sense because you're in this cooped up place, you know. I mean, I don't smoke anymore, but I don't want to be breathing your smoke in. But I get that. But I mean, the idea that outside of the public park and people are okay with this, well, because it's or raising cigarette taxes, we're going to protect the poor. We're going to take care of the poor, but we're going to raise the cigarette taxes. Friggin' guys are nuts. All right. Your kids are so lucky to grow up in a traditional nuclear family. I agree. I agree, man. That's you know, I married a Catholic lady. I'm Catholic, you know, Christian Catholic, and that was important to both of us. To marry within the religion of Christianity, first and foremost, Catholicism secondary, but certainly first and foremost to, you know, Catholicism has lost its way. I mean, the Jesuits have really done lots of bad stuff. The liberation theology of Catholicism down in South America is evil. Our Pope is a Marxist, but at the end of the day, the Catholicism still has a lot of good traits, and it survives idiot human beings, that's for sure. And if you just follow the teachings of the traditional Catholicism of respecting the family unit, it's a wonderful thing. Why do you think the Marxists, the first thing they do is go after religion, man? Because they want you to kneel to the state, not to the eternal. It's first thing they do is go after religion. The family's next. And what are we seeing on these people? I mean, what are you seeing from Black Lives Matter? They literally say this. I don't understand. I just, it's the most frustrating thing in the world to me that people can see this with their own very eyes and just act like it doesn't exist. It's frustrating. All right. If I were played running the wheel options, Jerry, am I saying you shouldn't have quit smoking? For a financial perspective, no, you should have quit because you would have died before you ran out of money. On top of that, but you would have probably ran out of money because how much it costs to smoke. Have you ever played with running the wheel option strategy? I mean, I got no idea what an running the wheel option strategy is, Tom. Sorry, I don't know. No, so the answer is no. Rob W says, my man, there he goes. Where were you when I was showing my Quebec Nordique shirt? He was saying, yeah, Jerry. So don't forget GW Life TV. I noticed my man Jerry just got over 1,000 subs, about 1,200 now. So subscribe to GW Life TV and get Jerry some money from Joe Biden's campaign. Remember, man, Joe Biden's advertising like a drunken loon because he's getting all that Black Lives Matter money donation. So, make sure you hook up Jerry too, and me. So keep watching the ads. That way, just remember, every ad you watch, you're taking money from Joe Biden's campaign, which was donated to Black Lives Matter via Act Blue donate button on the Black Lives Matter website. All right. So every time you watch, you're actually contributing. Black Lives Matter is actually contributing to me via YouTube. So keep it up. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you. I think he advertised on my channel. I think that's what I've heard. I don't know if he still does anymore, but I mean, of course, it's not Joe Biden. Joe Biden doesn't know what's going on, but still. They'll import more immigrants to make up for the lack of marriage and births. 100%. I think that's right. That's the whole thing. You import the immigrants for cheap labor. We know that for a fact, and to make us be able to have inflation, because they like inflation. Does our betters? So we like inflation, absolutely, and we like cheap labor. That's funny, huh? It's the toxic additives in the vaccine babies get when their immune system's not fully developed. Mercury, aluminum. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that to be true. I don't know it not to be true, Barry. I just think it's weird how just people are nonchalant about this, and yet they're sitting there thinking about COVID-19. Like, we gotta know the risks. You don't want to risk it by not wearing a mask. Well, the evidence is not there. Certainly wearing outside, but still, what if? What if we could save one life? Did you know you take away nursing home deaths in 3 states? All right, so nursing home deaths account for 43% of COVID-19 deaths. If you want to even use the numbers as real, we'll just pretend they are. All right, you take away those nursing home deaths in Massachusetts, New York, and New Jersey, and you have basically the equivalent of a flu for death toll in the United States. New York, New Jersey, and Mass. Charlie Baker, and I even know about Michigan with half-wit, but you got Charlie Baker, Republican, in name only. You got Cuomo, friggin', and then you got Murphy, old Governor Murphy there in New Jersey, all right, who are literally sending people to their deaths by mandating them, then going to nursing homes. You take away those 3 places and you have a equivalent. Again, if you even count the number of COVID deaths as normal, it's just nuts. All right. 2019 inflation 2.3, 2020 0.3. We will see, man. We will see. I would bet inflation in 2020 is going to be deflation. However, if it is inflation, that is good news for people who were born in 1960 when it comes to Social Security. So remember, I did a couple of videos off Andrew Biggs's thought process when it comes to Social Security with cost of living adjustments. It's I think it's the second quarter, or is it the end of the third? Maybe it's the end of August, which is when we get the numbers for Social Security cost of living adjustments come October. I think it is the end of August. So this month and next month are huge, man, if you're born in 1960. But I'm sorry, there's no way inflation is going to be high when we had a 5% decline in GDP in Q1, and who knows what it's going to be in Q2. But now we're out of recession, so it'll be growing. But if we're down 25% in Q2, off 5% in Q1, it's hard to imagine we're going to get a 30 to 35% growth in the next 2 quarters just to level things off. I don't see that happening at all. I think this could be a deflationary year for sure. And because of that, if you're born in 1960, I do believe you're gonna lose out when it comes to Social Security. Not only did Bill Gates, big Planned Parenthood guy, his dad, but he also is for the estate tax in Washington State, which I was adamant against, and I am still, but I am now gone full throttle in favor of a wealth tax. I really believe that is one of the ways to look, man, these guys, they're willing to fund some of these evil organizations throughout the world. Well, we might as well have them just fund. If they're willing to give their money to these evil organizations, NGOs and whatnot throughout the world, we might as well just say, give it to the U.S. Treasury. I I mean, that's the way I look at it. All these people say, Josh, you don't get it. You're not a libertarian. I'm like, look, at the end of the day, I've never claimed to be a full libertarian. But if you're Bill Gates Senior and Bill Gates are going to donate all these, billions of dollars to these bad organizations, well, we might as well say, let's take some of that and give it to the Treasury to make Social Security and Medicare solvent. I mean, it's just the way I look at it. And I don't know why that would be a problem, but they're going to cause the stock to collapse. Again, they're giving away the money as it is. Why don't we just use some of it to keep it here? It just makes sense to me. I don't get why that's a socialistic thing. I'm saying we have issues when it comes to our own needs. And here at the good old US of A, these people are funding NGOs all over the world to do bad stuff. So, all right, let's keep it here to do good stuff. Done and done. But it's not your money. Well, yeah, I get that. But, at the end of the day, we still have taxes, right? All right. And the taxes is inherently, we've already allowed the theft via the tax code. So we might as well make it work better for America. No one's advocating getting rid of taxes. So essentially, unless you're advocating getting rid of taxes outright, which no one, I mean, I know a few people are, you're agreeing to theft via taxation. And because you're agreeing to that, you might as well just say, well, why don't we do it better here to make it more productive for people in the United States? Because Africans can compete with our farming base, we'll do anything to stop that. I tell you, oof. I would love to see Africa do well, but not on the backs of not with at the beck and call of the Chinese. I'm huge with the Zimbabweans for sure. Rhodesians previously. I'm huge for those folks down there. I hope that that continent, the sub-Saharan Africa, I hope they do good stuff. There's a YouTube channel called New Africa. Very, very interesting. Love that channel. I haven't watched as much as I wish I did. But he gets in a lot of the African politics, the African, it's just as interesting as all can be. If you're interested in Africa at all, not just Mugabe, but everything down there as well. It's interesting to watch. So definitely if you get a chance, watch or subscribe to New Africa. Big fan. And in fact, it's funny because the Africans that move here kick butt and take names. That's what's crazy. I mean, these Africans that come to America, they just, this is the thing. If you got nothing to lose, yeah. It's why immigration of itself is a good thing. And I'm all for immigration as long as we police up who comes here. But people give up everything to come here. They're going to be productive. They don't come here to live off the land. They know they come here to bust butt and freaking kick butt and take names. I'd take a Venezuelan, one Venezuelan would kick the butt of 10 freaking Harvard PhD students in 2 days. I guarantee. Take one guy from Venezuela who didn't vote for Chavez. That guy would kick the butt of 10 PhD students at Harvard. Guaranteed. I mean, think about it. Did you see this guy, Jonathan Poland? Have you heard about this clown? So he's a teacher, was at University of Texas, San Antonio. And someone on some social media site said she was voting for Trump. And this guy, Jonathan Poland, Pullen, freaking scumbag, he just said all kinds of evil stuff towards this lady, all kinds of stuff. And long story short, she took a screenshot of the text and sent to UTSA and they busted him. I'm hoping they didn't bust him, but they fired him. And I'm hoping that he got busted by the cops. He should go to jail because he threatened her life, not just with bad stuff, just a scumbag. But if you look at that guy, he looks like Pajama Boy. He looks like a freaking the 80-pound weakling that you used to see in the comic book, commercials. You're like, what the hell? That guy, who are these men? It's nuts. It's that guy. I guarantee, you could put 2 5-pounders. I bet that guy couldn't push him over his head. It's insane. And I'm sitting there thinking this guy's threatening women. It's evil stuff. I don't want to say it here. But he looks like a freaking squish. And who do you think is more representative of like Harvard? He's at UTSA, University of Texas, San Antonio. But if you think about Harvard, who do you think is more representative of people at Harvard? People like this clown, Jonathan Poland, or people like the uneducated economist guy? You know what I'm saying? And it's like this guy, Jonathan Poland. They got no testosterone other than being hateful towards women who vote for Trump, and literally hateful, evil. I hope he's in jail because that guy's a scumbag. And you losing your job is one thing, but when you threaten young ladies with bad things, That I don't know how you don't go to jail for that. Yeah, FDR made America turn golden. I'm still waiting for them to tear down statues of FDR for the Japanese internment camps. That's for sure. And I think he thought about, or did he? Didn't he even with Italians, John? I think he might have. I know he thought about it with Germans, but I think he did with Italians too. We're all soylent green at the end of the day, Courtney. Yeah, exactly. Dollar bills are pretty nasty. Jerry, give me your dollar bills. I'll be happy to take them off you. Anyone who doesn't like the feel of their money and all the germs, just send them to me. I'll be happy to take those away from you because I don't want you getting sick with coronavirus or the cocaine stuff that's on those dollar bills. So just send them to me, man. I'll take it away from you. Exactly. Once they get you into a cashless society, watch out. Yep. I cannot agree that more. I'm cashless now, but cashless society scares me. You better have a cash stash at home. I completely agree, but I'm not even sure it should be cash. You should have some cash. Don't get me wrong. I think you need to have some kind of silver and gold stash at home. I really, really do believe that. I think any wise investor, I don't even want to say investor, any wise soul out there would take some time to go on Jam Bullion or wherever you buy your stuff from and purchase a couple $1,000s of gold and silver. I really, really do. Because remember, cash is only worth it as long as the IOU will be paid. If they ever say we're not going to honor this money, like they've done in countless states, then your cash is worth less. It literally is. So cash in of itself is only good as long as the American government says we're going to back this. If the American government says no, we're going cashless, we won't even honor this, and your cash is worth nothing. So just remember that. Digital cash will increase the velocity. That's exactly right, Ron. 100% right. That's what the argument would be. We increase the velocity, we increase the demand, we increase trading, and that will be good is the argument for the consumer spending. But it's essentially at the threat of a gun, though. They're saying spend the money or else lose it. That's not growth. That doesn't build economic activity other than the short term. It's like inflation. Inflation is always good in the short term. I mean, you look at any economist who talks about inflation. There's always a quick boom. Really, for 2 years. And it's always in the people who are the closest to the printing press make out the best. And then the people on the outskirts lose and lose and lose. And ultimately, it's a bad thing, big inflation. But inflation is always a good thing on the front end. And this is what this increased velocity of cash will be inflationary. It creates short-term stimulus, a short-term boom. But it does no good for investing, does no good for growth because it's all short fake. And then it will be deflationary for sure. No, it wasn't Peru. It was Argentina. Peru didn't do that. I mean, they might have themselves, but Fujimori was a wonderful premier back in the 90s, killed the Shining Path off, and then the left, because they never stop. They had to go after him, and I think they even put old Alberto in jail, but I think his daughter became president. I don't know if she still is now or not. So before currency was traded for the most part by barter, if we go cashless, we'll barter. I think that's right, Ray. I think what's going to happen is the barter idea would be, in some regard, this will be where comparative advantage really works big time. So you grow carrots, I grow onions. We trade each other. I'm an expert at growing carrots. You're an expert at growing onions. I need some onions. You need some carrots. We trade. The problem, of course, with barter societies is how do you trade cows and pigs and stuff like that? Well, you trade them by butchering them, put them in vacuum sealed bags and selling them, in sections. That's what you do. You don't have to actually bring a cow to market anymore. You just butcher it, and you say, all right, now we got this. And if you look at the Prime Act, sponsored by Thomas Massey, and I think a Democrat out of Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, where they want to make it illegal to actually have butchering on your own farm as long as you're selling intrastate as opposed to interstate. I'm sure that won't be passed this year, but I think that's a huge deal because the reason the shortage of meat was because there wasn't enough butcher shops because the USDA had to get their freaking dirty hands on it all. Because heaven forbid the USDA doesn't approve the meat that you consume on your own. Oh my goodness, because they're going to guarantee its safety. Really? Anyway, so what happens is, the barter would be different than what we remember in the old days, where you got this freaking cow, you got old Betsy, and he bringing freaking the pig and you're switching them out. It doesn't have to be like that. So I think it would be a barter. And also I think a barter by trade. Electricity, I know gardening. I show you how to do some gardening. Freaking, put a wire generator for me and stuff like that. I could see that happening more so, but look, this isn't going to happen overnight. I mean, my goodness, it's not like society's going to collapse tomorrow. Where do you suggest keep money? I don't feel safe keeping most of my savings account. I got some money in stock, but getting crushed. I don't know why your stock would be getting crushed. I don't have a problem with savings account. I mean, it is FDIC insured for sure. Nike is building a factory in Goodyear, Arizona. I like to see U.S. jobs, especially my state, but I won't be buying the crappy shoes. Me either, man. Me either. I will not be buying Nike as long as they got Colin Kaepernick, that faker. That faker. I do not like Colin Kaepernick, man. All right. I used to work in the hospital 35 years ago. The doctors and nurses would smoke at the nurses' station in the halls. Notice conservative libertarians didn't contest the passage of the laws, while liberals will file suit and get a nationwide injunction. And yeah, all right. Gotta know your expenses first. Oh boy, Nexter app is the newest virtue signaling app for Karens. My wife tells me that too. Yep. I remember smoking on airplanes too, man. Absolutely. Isn't that crazy? You just light up nuts. Nope. You don't have a right to fresh air before you have the right to smoke. That's not true. Not if I own the building for which I am conducting business. And you don't have a right to fresh air by banning me, Tom, from smoking in a public place. You don't. You can just walk around me. That's all there is to it, man. It's I have no problems with you smoking or healthcare as long as I don't have problems with you smoking as long as I have to pay for your healthcare or smell your smoke. That's insane, because where does that stop? You see the discrepancy, I hope, in this argument, because there's a huge discrepancy, and I'm hoping I don't need to go down there and show it to you, because this would get ugly if we had to go down here. Because if the situation is you having to pay for people's health care is what determines what they can do a certain activity, that gets pretty scary, my friend. Oh, Meg, you missed my wife. Yeah, Charlotte's out of my league, man. Right on. Chicken Genius had a video comparing Tesla semi versus natural gas, pure economic comparison. After 7 years, half the price, and next 10 years, witness the turnover. They all drive themselves. An article about doing the Roth conversion in 2020. Keep in mind, tax rules are constantly changing. There's no guarantee that Roth IRA distributions will remain tax-free. Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, Congress literally can do whatever they want to do. Jill, you say, how could they tax money that's already been taxed? Look, man, we had this issue kind of resolved in 1993. So Bill Clinton had retroactively taxed a tax increase. It went back to the beginning of 1993. So it's still in the same tax year. Republicans actually sued when they had guts back then. They said, you can't make it retroactive. You know what I'm saying? You can't. That's unconstitutional. And they lost. The Supreme Court says we can make it retroactive back to the beginning of 1993. And this would happen, in summer of 1993. So basically the whole time in 1993, up until that point, you conducted your affairs under the previous tax bill. And then it went back to the beginning of January 1st, retroactively, thinking no way. And it was true. So what would be to say they can't go back even further? I mean, they can do whatever they want, man. This is the issue. They can do anything. And it's kind of like Obamacare. There's literally, John Roberts is the one who said this is a tax, even though the Obamacare argument was explicitly stating it was not a tax. Or whatever it was. And it's just, they can do whatever they want to do. It's just, we have to realize that if they want to do something, look, they're mandating you wear masks. They're mandating that. It did not be approved by a legislature. It's an executive action. Half these people by a freaking non-elected public health official mandating this stuff. They can do whatever they want to do. we can pretend there's some constitutionality that will protect us. You can't make that. You just can't anymore. You see what happened to those two people in St. Louis? This is why I don't ever move to Fulton County, by the way. Fulton County, Georgia. So in St. Louis, the two people, the guy with the AR-15, the lady with whatever the hell she had, they confiscated those weapons. They went and they searched that guy's house. And he's going to be held accountable for what crime, I don't know. I mean, he'll theoretically he'll walk, but it's political. We all know this. And I live in Fulton County. Paul Howard, I think is his name, is the guy who's prosecuting Officer Rolfe, who shot and killed the whatever that dude's name was, Brooks. When Brooks was a violent offender against this guy, it's insane. And we know this guy's. Well, I hate this. We think this guy's going to be found not guilty, acquitted, because what the hell is he supposed to do? The guy went after his weapons and shot him with his taser, and he's being prosecuted for murder, even though just literally a week before that, the same freaking ass clown district attorney Paul Howard, I think, was saying that tasers are lethal weapons. But now when it's Officer Rolfe, he's saying it's not a lethal weapon. I mean, the guy's is insane. So let's just say protesters, Antifa comes to my house here in North Fulton County, and I brandish my AR-15 or hell, freaking 12 gauge, or even a Glock 19. And I say, stay the hell away. Yeah, if the prosecutor is up for re-election, which is what's happening right now with Paul Howard, he's losing in the polls, by the way. That's why he was going after Officer Rolfe, because he has to get his black voters to say, oh, yeah, I want that guy. So this is the way he does it. Now, I don't think he's going to win. I think most people can see the insanity of all this. And now with that little girl getting killed, the 8-year-old girl in Atlanta, I mean, this guy, his actions allowed this 8-year-old girl to be killed. There's no two ways around that. And so, look, man, people are people. They're not stupid. They're going to say, you're a freaking clown. I'm not going to vote for you just because you try to rabble rouse by going after a cop. And now we got a dead 8-year-old girl, you freaking scumbag. But we shall see. Either way, it doesn't matter. The matter is the process is the crime. Have to deal with the fact that you're being prosecuted for something that no way in any sense of free society would you ever be prosecuted for. It's nuts. So don't think, oh, they can do whatever they want. All right, how's the Wellington book coming? All right, let me show you, then we'll get out of here in just a sec. I'm going to show you one thing on the Wellington book, which I'm giving you a sneak preview. I probably shouldn't even do this because it'll take away some of the fun. All right, so here is the Wellington book. Check this out. Check this out. I'm going to show you a sneak preview. All right. Hold on just a second. Here's what I'm coming up with. All right, let's see if I got it over here. Is that it? Hold on a sec. Hold on. I'm looking for results. Hold on. Is that it right there? I don't think that's it. Yes. All right. So we talked about this last time. All right. Hold on a second. I'm looking for my results thing. It's over here someplace. All right. Well. All right. So my premise here. Oh, am I still on here? Looks like it went. Wait, did it freeze me off here? All right, I can't tell if I'm still on here or not, so I'm just going to keep going with it. All right, so the Wellington, my premise is instead of taking 5% a year or 4% a year out, because that is not efficient from a perspective of cash flow. What I mean by that is you're using a limited amount of money to spend under the unlikely proposition that you're going to run out of money. And what ultimately is going to happen is most times you're going to leave a whole bunch of money left that you could have enjoyed yourself. So I said, what can we do differently? So I started doing a bunch of different things. What if you took 6% a year out and not adjusted for inflation? So we're going to do a higher amount on the front end, essentially because you're taking 6% a year, and inflation's down. I mean, not inflation, but your inflation is making you gradually that 6%, that $6,000 on $100,000 is slowly going down in terms of net purchasing power because inflation is rising. So you're up here, inflation is rising. So each and every year is actually reducing your real purchasing power, if that makes sense. So I did 6,000. So we're starting with 6%. Again, 100,000 is a portfolio, 6,000 a year, each and every year. All right. So we're starting with more than we normally would take, but it gets less and less from a real purchasing perspective. And I did 5,000, 7,000, all this. And then I said, what if we did start with 10% a year and reduce it by 20 basis points each and every year? So we got 10 to 9.8 or 0.98, or what I do, 2 basis points? Yeah, 2 basis points, if that makes sense. So 20 basis points. So we're going 10, 0.98, 0.96, 0.94, 0.92. Does that make sense? Let me see if that makes sense for you guys. All right, cool. So check this out, man. This is nuts. So I said, okay, what happens if we do this? So here we have 10%, the next year 9.8, 9.6, based on the portfolio value. All right, based on the portfolio value. So we're starting the first year, 1930. We're taking a reduction. So what happened is we have $100,000. The Wellington phone is down 21%. So we're left with $78,000. We're taking 10% off that $78,000. That's $7,879. We take $7,879 minus the amount that we were left with before we took the distribution. We're left with $7,911. If that makes sense. All right. The next year we're down another 26,000. We're taking which leaves us with 52,000, which would take 9.8% off that, if that makes sense. We take that leaves us with 5,103 that we're taking out minus that. So you can see what's happening here. So by the time the year 1933 rolls around, we're down to $40,000. All right. But we took 78,000 the first year, 51 the second year, 44 the third year, 41 the fourth year. We are taking more than we would have had if we did the 8%. This is how much more. How much, let me just type how much difference. So what we're doing here is we're taking, in this case, we took 5,000 a year adjusted for inflation. Well, the first year there was no inflation, it was deflation, 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 deflation. All right, so what happens is the first year, the 10%, we took $3,000 more. The next year we took $600, $400, $300, $500, $1,300, $1,200, $2,000. So the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 years, we took we took substantially more out. We took $8,638 out more in the first 8 years than we would have if we just followed the 5% rule. And the first 8 years are our party years, man. That's when we're trying to freaking party like it's 1999. Now the following year, because we were down to $38,000, we're only able to take, or 42,000. We're only able to take $3,600 out. So we took less out in this, the 10% initial thing than we would have 5% adjusted for inflation. But there's only $600 left. Then we took 275 out less. 200. See what I'm saying? So for the first basically 10 to 14, 12 years or so, we took 2,326 out more in the first 11 years in total income than we would have if we followed the 5% rule adjusted for inflation. Now this is in 1930. Now what happens is we keep doing this. In the latter part, we're going to take less out because inflation will start rearing its ugly head, and meaning more, we'll have to take more out. What the 5% is going to make us take more out. But the problem is the 5% doesn't last. It doesn't last. You end up with no money in the 5% after 29 years. But after 29 years, take the 10% out, 9.8, 9.6, we still have 85,000 left in our portfolio. So the 5% doesn't, you ran out of money. You ran out of money right here in 1959. But doing the 10, 9.8, 9.6, blah, 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 we still had money left in the portfolio, which means we could have taken out more if we wanted. So we averaged $3,921 a year we took out during the midst of the Great Depression. So I call it reverse RMDs. I'm not really sure it's not really a required minimum distribution, but I'm not really sure what else you would call it. But now if we go to 1931, watch this. So to go to 1931, the 5% rule did last. All right, so we 5% adjusted with inflation. That did last the whole time. But here we took an average of 5,000 a year out. But taking 5% adjusted with inflation, we took an average of 5,937 a year out. But the issue is that we took out more on the 5% rule when we're 90 years old. We're 95. Who gives a crap? At that point, you're like, wow, I took 3,000 more out, but I'm 92 years old sitting with Bertha on my front porch. Ernest and Bertha. They're like, I don't need that money. So what I'm saying is you're taking more out on the front end to enjoy it. I mean, significantly more of the first 8 to 10 years. Hell, really the first, until about here, until 1947, about 15 years, you're taking out significantly more by starting higher, but just recognize you're going to drop it each and every year. I think it's a wonderful strategy. I'm stoked, man. I think this is great. And so you're saying, well, but Josh, at the end of the day, I took out 184,000 more than I would have in your portfolio. Well, look, you're still left with $252,000 if you start in 1931 in the midst of the Great Depression. So you could always ramp this up if you wanted to. I'm just not going to do that. This is where I'm stopping, by the way. This is where I'm going to start really putting together the book. I didn't do this initially. So because we could say, okay, what happens? This is what kills me. I said, what happens instead of taking, going down here, we keep it at 5%. We can do all kinds of different things. We can do that I get blue in the face. I don't want to. Well, I'm showing you though, taking 10%, 9.8, 9.6, all that, we still have $252,000 left in the portfolio from 1931 to 1961, 30 years. We averaged 5,000 a year coming out of the portfolio. We took 155,000 out total. If we did 5% a year adjusted for inflation, we averaged 5,937 a year, which is great. And we took out $184,000. But the bulk of that difference between these two is in the last 10 years of your life. Who gives a crap, if that makes sense? And it's crazy because don't forget, if I go back to, oh man, where do I have my numbers here? Hold on. Oh, here, yes, right here. All right, results. So what you'll see here is, and that did 12%. 12.12, 0.118, 0.116, blah, blah, blah. 5% does not last. 12%, I'm sorry, but 5% did not last in 1930. 4% did last in 1930. All right, but 4%, you had actually less money than you took out than if you did the 0.1. Just the whole thing's crazy. In 1931, 5% adjusted with inflation lasted, inherently 4% adjusted with inflation too. 1966, 5% adjusted with inflation did not last. 4% adjusted with inflation did not last. In fact, 5% a year adjusted with inflation only lasted 15 years. 4% adjusted with inflation only lasted 29 years, all in the Wellington Fund. 1973, 5% adjusted with inflation did not last. 4% a year adjusted with inflation did. I know there's a lot going on. But man, I'm telling you, man, Sam's in the house, right on. Don't tell Sam, but he's voting for Bush. Oh, I keep saying Bush. Don't tell Sam, but he's voting for Trump. Shh. Hey, buddy. Oh, look, Pablo came in, Sam, to confirm that you're going to vote for Trump. Pablo says, yeah, let me tell that Sam that he better be voting for Trump or else I'll be barking at him. All right. Anyway, so what you see here in 1973, 5% did not work. Then we go 2000. So what I'm trying to show you here is, if you use a 5% model, it worked the vast majority of the time, other than 1930 and 1966, if that makes sense. So if we're going into the time frame, then you could be in a world of hurt. If you use a 4% model, it worked the vast majority of the time, other than 1966. So it isn't a true safe withdrawal rate, but you're leaving a hell of a lot of money left over to your heirs that you could have used to party like it's 1999 with Prince. Didn't Prince do, we're going to party like it's 1999? But why do that? We want you to enjoy the front end. The way you do is you enjoy the front end. The most responsible way is to spend some on the front end, recognizing you're going to have to reduce it as you get older, but you're going to reduce it anyway, as the BLS numbers and the Consumer Expenditure Survey and all that show. So it's the best method that I can find. Look, I'm all about 5%. Hell, I'm about 6%. I really am. But people always say, but what if I ran out of money? Because you did. You did run out of money on occasion. That's a fact. And we don't know. We just don't know what the future holds. So then the obvious thing would say, well, just take 6% a year or whatever your portfolio is. That will guarantee you don't run out of money, because you're just taking 6% of a dwindling or an increasing portfolio. But but that again, that puts too much risk of not spending enough on the front end that you're gonna have way too much on the back. And I don't want that either, man. I want you to enjoy the front end. Going back to John Waters, he said I tell you, he said the 60s are the most important decade of your life because essentially that's the last decade that you have when you're basically in the best shape you'll ever be again. And once you turn 70, things start falling south in terms of your body. You just don't have the physical capacity to do. So he said the 60s are the most important. You can't waste that decade. And he said it hit him. And when he was in his 50s, he didn't feel anything. But then he said when he hit his 60s, all of a sudden he recognized this is it. This is basically the last good 10 years I have. So if it's the last good 10 years you have, freaking enjoy it, man. Don't just sit there so worried that you're going to be 83 and eating cat food, because that's not good. That's bad. Anyway, so all right, we'll thanks for deleting it, Tom. I'm glad you're still with me, even though we disagree on the smoking thing. A lot of people disagree with me and stuff. I got no qualm with that. But a lot of people disagree on my thing on drugs. I think if people want to use drugs, they have the right to do it for sure. I don't care. People drink. We can't police that up. We can't police up drugs either. And we can't police up Pablo. But look how cute that guy is. All right, my friends. So we'll do so I'm going to start doing is live streaming. Live streaming on Wednesdays afternoon. So I'll live stream every Wednesday at noon for everybody. I will cat food right on, man. Put some milk in there. I'll live stream every Wednesday at noon and every Sunday again at 7. And then for my Subscribe Star people, we will still do every other Wednesday at 7:30 live stream. So we have a live stream coming up for Subscribe Star folks. And again, if you want to support me on Subscribe Star, it's $10 a month. You don't really get all that much other than that you're supporting me so I can spoil this guy like crazy. And then what happens is every other week, I do a live stream where you can actually call in, believe it or not. So it's like a Dave Ramsey thing. We got John calling from Houston, Texas. John, what's up? Josh, you're the worst guy ever. I should take Pablo away from you. All right, hi, Pablo. I see you looking at me. All right. So we'll see you guys later. So anyway, this book, I am going to knock this sucker out. When I say knock this sucker out, when I say that, I mean, I don't mean like I'm doing a half-ass. I've been working on this for months on end. I got what I need now. And I could literally, if I know me, and I do, I go in these rabbit holes where I start saying, oh, what if I do this? And I'm done. I did exactly what I needed to do. And I cannot wait to bring it to market. It's going to be awesome. All right. Blessings to you all. We'll see you.